Once upon a time, I did a deep dive into the disaster genre, into what fits the genre and what doesn't, and what I think are conventions for it. All of that is in a massively long video on this channel, the one I started with. I don't really expect everybody to watch that. Do if you want. But that's the source file for how the channel's going to go in future. I did feel that that needed to be there first. Having got that one up, my next little project was to identify the very first movie or TV show, at least the very first narrative put to film, that I felt fits all the requirements of the disaster genre, as opposed to a narrative sitting behind something else. This movie, the 1916 Danish movie The End of the World, I think is it. I thought it would take me a while to find it, but I seem to have hit on this one really fast. It was already in my list. It's one I have watched in the past. And I think it's really impressive that the disaster movie has been in its current form for this long. Now, my plan is for this to be a very short video, a brief introduction to this movie. If you're into disaster movies, it's quite interesting to see. It's marvellous how much they did with so little technology. They had cameras, but lighting was really hard for them. There's no special effects whatsoever. They have done an incredible job, I think. It's a comet, and the comet has some comet debris which comes down as sort of like a meteor storm. It's not a proper meteor storm, I don't think. But we have the different bits of debris breaking off the comet, landing on the ground. To do that with 1916 technology is really impressive. So on that note, here it is, a very, very brief look at the Danish film Verdens Undergang, the name of which translates to the end of the world. This movie begins, like all good disaster movies, with a community living a peaceful, happy life. There might be little problems in it, but generally speaking, everything is fine. People are looking ahead to the future, they're making plans. There's no hint that anything could be wrong at all. They go to work, they have loving families, and they have a full social life too. The movie opens with some wonderful daily scenes, and we get to meet our main family, the one we're going to follow through this disaster. This consists of a father and his two adult daughters, Dina and Edith, along with a family friend who is the preacher. We start the movie seeing a little bit of their daily life. We follow the father a bit as he chats to his friend, the preacher. We then follow the two girls as they head out to a village dance. It's a wonderful look from this far in the future at daily life in a place that we can't really imagine anymore. But at the time, this is just doing what a disaster movie does. Life is normal, nothing is going on. The only things that people are worried about are the normal, everyday, daily problems that you have. No family is perfect, so we're going to see that the two sisters have very different personalities from each other, and that although Dina, the older one, is engaged to somebody, she's swept off her feet by somebody else. Therein is our family opening drama, like all good disaster movies have. Here we are in their normal daily life, and this so far follows the traditional disaster movie tropes. Particularly, it follows my own conventions for a disaster movie, which is that the story must go from good to bad. We begin in the good times, we end in the bad. Something else that I find really endearing about this movie, although some might not, is the occasional little errors. You can tell that sometimes somebody did something wrong and they just have to roll with it. Obviously, it's hard to film. It's certainly hard to edit. Every so often you see something happen that definitely wasn't meant to happen. There's one point here in the dance where she gets almost bowled off her feet by somebody going past, and that's pretty clearly not intended. I kind of like all that. So the basic plot is, we've got a scientist, like all good disaster movies have. The scientist detects the approaching threat and tells the authorities. And initially, this works very well. People begin to worry. All of this is time-honoured disaster movie stuff. But we also have the evil businessman. And the evil businessman sees a way that he can make money out of this situation. He leans on his friend who runs the national newspaper to put out some notice saying that there is no threat after all. This results in nobody taking precautions of any kind as disaster continues to loom. I really like this, and I also would like to point out that this is almost exactly the plot of the present-day movie Don't Look Up. Don't Look Up is one of my favourite movies ever. But I feel the parallels are enormous. A comet coming to Earth, a businessman thinking he can profit off it, so encouraging people to not respond. The comet then appears in the sky, but it's too late to do anything. Okay, so we've got the scientist and we've got the evil businessman. We also have, of course, the ordinary everyday hero. Our main character is the younger daughter, Edith. Now, in the English-speaking Western world, the ordinary everyday hero is nearly always male. I don't know why. I don't know if people actually think that they have to be male or if that's just such a well-established trope that everybody's too scared to break it. Even when you do have a female lead in a disaster movie, generally speaking, at the critical point she's going to depend on a male anyway. Now, I don't personally care whether the ordinary everyday hero is male or female. In the majority of narratives, it makes no difference either way. I only point it out because it is a pattern and I like to see these patterns. I like to see where they come from and I like to see what more compelling narratives could potentially be missed because they are adhered to rather than overturned. That's all. I only mention it in this video for that reason. And I only explain in this video because I know that someone out there will wonder where I'm coming from. She is our ordinary everyday hero. Even though she doesn't do anything terribly spectacular in this movie, I feel that her fiancé, the sailor, is sort of just the love interest. He's off. She has to act because he's away at sea when it all happens. She is the one that does all the things. The preacher has a really good claim to that position too, because honestly the preacher does more than anyone else to rescue and to rally. The preacher just fits into the role of the charismatic leader, who in these early movies fairly often was a religious figure of some sort. In later movies, they tend to be a politician, and in the last 10 years, I feel like we're seeing more influencers or social media personalities taking that role, which is a really interesting thing in itself. Here in this one, we have Edith, the younger daughter in this family. She is the one that we follow from start to finish. The story of this movie revolves around a virtue timeline. We've got the two sisters. One of them makes good decisions, one makes bad. You see this a lot in movies of this time, not only disaster movies. They liked to have a foil, they like to have a clear moral message. We've got the older sister who is unfaithful to her fiancé, elopes with a rich man and is cut off from the family for the rest of the movie. And we've got the younger sister Edith who does everything right. Her fiancé is a sailor, he's away for large stretches of time, but she loves him and she waits for him. And kind of obviously, the older sister comes to a bad end while the younger sister survives. In a way, it is just this moral framework of the narrative that leaves Edith in the position of the everyday ordinary hero. But honestly, that is enough. It is her choices, it is her actions that have brought her to that point. Every time she has a problem, she gets herself out of it. She and the narrative do really well. The End of the World is remarkable for its coherent plotline and its ambition. The way they've handled the comet debris is particularly noteworthy, I think. By modern standards, it's not believable at all, but it suffices. We understand what's happening. We get the fear of the villagers, we get the panic, we get the destruction, and after all of that, we get the storm surge, which is done especially well. We live that time with poor Edith, who seems to have lost everybody that meant anything to her at all. Her father is dead, her fiancé is lost at sea, her sister is estranged to her and she has no idea where she is. And in the final scene, she's wandering in a landscape that really believably seems empty of people. It's a truly marvellous movie of hope and endurance, and also the importance of staying true to yourself. This really is, with its virtue timeline, a movie about integrity. Something that will hold up against the greatest of onslaughts. It's one of those classic disaster movie themes that I love so much. Now, I put together a list of conventions that I think need to be present for a movie to be called part of the disaster genre, rather than simply having a disaster narrative in the background. And I won't go through them here, but I think this movie meets all of my requirements. It's fictional, it starts in a good time and goes to a bad. It's got an ensemble cast of people from diverse backgrounds who are in conflict with each other as the story progresses. The scale of the disaster satisfies me, and the disaster is inherent to the progression of the narrative. It's not just a background thing, it's here right at the centre. So to me, this is it. Number one, I am going to continue to look for older footage, old public domain movies. There certainly are more out there for me to find, but this is impressive. I think we've had our current disaster movie structure since 1916. If you stayed with me this far, thank you for watching.